Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to solve a few questions from part B. So these questions are I have taken from mock test 1. Also at the end of this video, I'm going to announce next date for mock test second. Without wasting time, let's get started. So what question says? Question number 16. What it says? What is the dimension of the space of all n-cross-n matrices with real entries? Okay. Which are such that the sum of the entries in the first row and the sum of the diagonal entries are both 0. So see, whenever this kind of question asked in net exam, so what we'll do, you just simply write down dimension of the all n cross n matrices minus number of restrictions. Okay, so this formula you almost remember, n square minus number of restrictions. Okay, so now talking about this question has two restriction. Restriction number 1 is this: sum of entries in first row. Entries in first row, this is first restriction. Restriction number 2, they have given sum of diagonal. So sum of entries in first row is 0 and also sum of diagonal is 0. So they have given two restrictions. So what will be the dimension of the given space? So n square, the dimension of n cross n matrices, minus number of restriction. How many restrictions are there? There are two restrictions, namely R1 and R2. So dimension will be n square minus 2. So which option will be correct? So D option will be correct. Question number 17. In this question, what they have given, matrix A whose order is 5 cross 5 and whose characteristic polynomial. So this is the characteristic polynomial they have given: x minus 2 cube and x plus 2 square. Okay, so dimension of this matrix A is 5 cross 5. Okay, now they have given one more important thing, that A is diagonalizable. And we know that whenever a matrix is diagonalizable, their minimal polynomial is product of all linear factors. Means what? So mx must be x minus 2 and x plus 2. Okay, and we know that every minimal polynomial satisfies the matrix. Means what? Cayley-Hamilton theorem. If I substitute matrix A in place of x, we will get a 0 matrix. So m of A is going to be A minus 2, A plus 2 equals to 0. Now if I multiply these two linear factors, I will get A square minus 4i equals to 0. Means what? A square is going to be 4 times identity. So we have A square equals to 4i. If I multiply throughout by A inverse, because see, A doesn't have 0 as an eigenvalue, means what? A is invertible matrix. Okay, and if invertible means what? We can take A inverse on both sides. So if I take inverse on both sides, I will get A equals to 4 times A inverse. If I take this 4 to this side, I will get A inverse equals to 1 by 4 times A, and this is nothing but 1 by 4 times A plus 0 times identity. If I compare with the A inverse, which is equals to alpha times A plus beta times identity. If I compare both the equations, I will get alpha equals to 1 by 4 and beta equals to 0. So which answer will be correct? So answer D will be correct. Okay, let's look at question number 18. So what they are given that ABC are distinct real numbers. Okay, ABC are distinct real numbers such that following determinant vanishes: A square 1 plus A cube. Next is B square 1 plus B cube, and C square 1 plus C cube. Okay, we know that determinant of A and determinant of A transpose are identical. So if I take transpose of this, determinant not going to change. Okay, means what? A square 1 plus A cube, B square 1 plus B cube, C square and 1 plus C cube. If I interchange row and column, my determinant will change by minus sign. So this is same as minus 1 If I interchange first and third row, I'm going to get 1 plus a cube, 1 plus b cube, 1 plus c cube, and this first row will come to third place. Okay, and second row will be unchanged. Again, if I take this, if I again interchange second and third row, my determinant will be changed by minus sign. So minus 1 square, this first row will be as is, 1 plus a cube, 1 plus b cube, 1 plus c cube, and again a b c and a square b square c square. So see what I have done here up till now. I have just interchange the rows 2 times, so that's why I have minus 1 square outside the determinant. Okay, now see, very important thing. Now I'm going to split this determinant by linearly. So if I split linearly, I'm going to get, so minus 1 square anyway will be 1. So 1 1 1 plus a cube, b cube and c cube, and we have abc, a square b square c square, a square b square c square. Now what I'll do, this determinant will be as it is. Now see what I'll do, I will take a, b and c common out from each column. Okay, so if I take a, b, c common out from each column, what I'll get, a square, b square, c square. Here I will have 1 1 1, and here I will have a, b, c. Okay, if I again interchange first and third row, so what I'll get, so let me interchange first and second row first. So 1 1 1, because we want these two matrices to be similar. So 1 1 1 and a square b square c square a b c. But see, whenever we interchange rows, my determinant will change by minus sign. So here it will be minus sign. But see, here in this determinant, our a square b square c square is in third row, but in this second determinant, our a square b square c square is in second row. So what we'll do, we will again interchange second and third. So if I interchange again 1 1 1 a b c, a square b square c square, plus if I interchange again, there will be minus sign. So minus 1 into minus 1 will be plus 1. So abc 1 1 1 abc and a square b square c square. Now see, our these two determinant are now same. So what we'll do now, you just take common out this two determinant. So I will left with 1 plus abc and this determinant 1 1 1 abc a square b square c square. Okay, now see, they are saying this determinant is vanishes. When will this determinant vanish? Whenever this is 0. Okay, so whenever this term 1 plus abc equal to 0. So if you look at the options, my option C will be correct. Let's look at question number 19. In this is a very interesting question. So they have given series an convergent, and what they have given about an is all positive real numbers. Okay, what else they have given? They don't have given anything apart from this, and they are asking about convergence of 4 series. Okay, so first series, look at carefully, an upon 1 plus an. Okay, so they are asking, is this series convergent or not? You see how to approach this kind of question. So if I consider this as this term as bn, then look at this, an upon 1 plus an. So now this is nothing but less than equals to an upon. So why I have written this? Now look at this carefully. An are positive real number, means what? An is greater than equal to 0. Okay, if I add 1 on both sides, 1 plus an is greater than equals to 1. If I take inverse, so then 1 plus an will be less than equals to 1. If I multiply an, okay, so this term is always less than equals to an. But see, they have given this series is convergent, means what? Obviously this series is convergent. So by comparison test, okay, by comparison test, if bigger series convergent, then the smaller series will also obviously converge. Okay, so first option is going to be true. Now let's look at second option. They are saying n raised to an raised to 1 by 4 upon n raised to 4 by 5. Now see, n means what? N is running over 1 to infinity, means what? N are natural numbers. So if I take any power of natural numbers, then my answer is going to be positive. Okay, an raised to 1 by 4, n raised to 4 by 5 is always greater than equals to an raised to 1 by 4, because anyway this is positive, and an raised to 1 by 4. Now see, an are our positive rational positive real numbers, so this is anyway going to be less than our an itself. Now see, again our the original series is convergent, so therefore this series is again going to be convergent by comparison test. Okay, now see, we have got both the options are true. First series and second series both are convergent. You see, this question is from part B, so only one option has to be true, so both option can't be true in part B. That's why D option is correct. Okay, let's look at question number 20. What it says in question 20, they are saying f is from R to R, be a continuous function, then which of the following is true? Now see, there is one result. If my function f is from let's say some interval, okay, suppose my f is continuous on this interval where a and b are arbitrary real numbers, and x tends to a plus left hand limit and right hand limit of f of x both exist and finite, then we say f is uniformly continuous. Okay, if I look at all the options, we have f is continuously differentiable to be true. If I look at second option, limit mod x tends to infinity f of x is equal to 0, means what? If we have function from R to R, in this case my open interval R is nothing but minus infinity to infinity, so that means mod x tends to infinity means what? Limit x tends to minus infinity fx and limit x tends to plus infinity fx both exist and equal to 0. So by this result our option B is correct. Okay, because both the left hand as well as right hand limit exist, hence option B is correct. Okay, now let's move ahead. Question number 21. So in question number 21 they are given sequence of real numbers. So an is a sequence of real such that our a1 is 1 and all terms of the sequence are represented by this recurrence relation, and this happens for all n greater than 1. Okay, so this is the recurrence relation they have given, and a1 is first term. Let's try to look at several terms of this sequence. So a2 will be 6 plus 1 and root of that, means what? Root 7. Okay, what will be a3? Root 6 plus next term will be root 7, and so on. If you look at carefully, all the terms of the sequence are positive. Also they are asking about convergence of this sequence. Where will this sequence an converge? Okay, so suppose my an converges to some limit L. So as an tends to L, all the term of the sequence above this an will also converge to L. Okay, so if I take limit on either side, I will get limit n tends to infinity n square root of s6 plus an. So if I apply limit here, L, and this will be 6 plus L. Just take square on both sides, so I will get L square equal to 6 plus L. If I take this 6 and L that side, I will get L square minus L minus 6 equals to 0. Now we just have to solve this quadratic equation. So how to solve this quadratic equation? So minus 6 I want factor such a way that the product is minus 6 and sum will be minus 1. So 3 2 ja, what will be the sign for 3? Obviously it is minus and this is plus. So my L will be 3 and L equals to this will be minus 2. So we are getting two different limit, but which one is we have to take, 3 or minus 2? Now see, our sequence is of positive terms, so obviously my sequence will converge to some positive limit. Okay, so our L must converge to 3. So our given sequence an will converge to 3. So which one will be true? So option B will be correct. Okay, question number 22. So what they are saying, S is a collection of all 3 cross 3 matrices such that transpose of A and A itself will give me 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, so we just want to find out one matrix such that their product, the transpose of that matrix and the matrix itself, if I make product of them, I will get this kind of matrix. Okay, now see what kind of matrix we want in result. We want such a matrix such that their a11 entries is 1, rest all entries are 0. So how to construct such matrix? So this is the idea. So what we'll do, you construct the matrix A such that whose a21 entries is no, not a21, whose a12 entries is non-zero. Okay, and what will be the non-zero entries of A transpose? Let's take here a21 itself. So suppose my a21 entries of this matrix A is non-zero, then what will be the non-zero entry of A transpose in obviously a12? Okay, if I multiply this both A transpose A, so what is the non-zero entries of a12, A transpose a12? Okay, what is the non-zero entries of A, which is equals to a21? So what will be the non-zero entries of A transpose A is obviously a1 1. Okay, so this is how we construct non-zero entries of the resultant matrix. For let me show you how we do that. So suppose I am taking this matrix A. So what is the non-zero entries of matrix A? A21. So what is the position? A21 means what? This here. So let's take here 1, rest all entries are 0. Okay, so this is my matrix A. Then what will be my A transpose? A transpose will be, so what is the transpose of this matrix? 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, now let's try to multiply this A transpose A. If I multiply these two matrix, so I showed you how to multiply this kind of matrix. So what we'll do, we just find out non-zero entries of first matrix and non-zero entries of second matrix. What is the non-zero entries of first matrix? At what position non-zero entries of first matrix is? It is at the place of 1 2. This is the position of non-zero entry in A transpose. What is the non-zero entry in A? What is the position of non-zero entry in A? Is equals to A21. You just write the final position where resultant matrix has non-zero entry, so it is nothing but A11. Okay, you can actually multiply, you will see that this is the non-zero entry and rest all entries are going. Now see, A transpose A is equals to this matrix, means what, we got one matrix A. Okay, such that A transpose and A, I'm going to get this matrix, means what, we got one matrix this. Now let's look at the options. So is this matrix nilpotent? Obviously yes, a matrix is said to be nilpotent if all our eigenvalues are 0. So this is the nilpotent matrix. Is this matrix idempotent? Can this matrix be idempotent? No. Can this be involuntary? No. Diagonal? No. So option A is only correct. So A is nilpotent matrix. Okay, because this matrix is nilpotent. You can actually try, you will get A square is equals to 0. Okay, let's look at 23rd. So what question number 23rd says, minus 1 raised to n plus 1 upon, we have n into n plus 1 here. Okay, and they want us to find out sum of this series. If you look at carefully, this is nothing but alternating series, and we know that what is A into B. How to write 1 upon A into B? This is nothing but B minus A, 1 upon A minus 1 upon B. Okay, so this is the formula I'm going to use. You can actually verify this, B minus A, B minus A, B minus cancel, and we will left with A into B. Okay, similarly this is nothing but minus 1 raised to n plus 1, 1 upon B minus A, n plus 1 minus n will be 1. Okay, into 1 upon n minus 1 upon B, means what, n plus 1. Okay, now let's multiply this minus 1 raised to n plus 1 throughout and sum also. So minus 1 raised to n plus 1 divided by n minus 1 raised to n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. Okay, we know that 1 minus half plus 1 by 3. Okay, this is well known series. And what is the sum of this series? Yes, I'm asking to you, what is the sum of this series? Log of 2. Okay, so we are going to use this series to find out sum of this big series. Let's try to substitute a value of n equals to 1. This series starts from n equals to 1 and ends at infinity. So if I substitute n equals to 1, I'm going to get 1 plus 1 2 means what? Even 1 upon 1. What will be the next term? Negative 1 by 2, 1 by 3, and this will keep going like this. Okay, now minus. Now what will be the first term of this series if I substitute n equals to 1? So 2 and 2, so 1 by 2, next term will be negative, and this will keep going like this. Okay, now see, we all know sum of this series is nothing but log 2. Okay, now see, we want 1 here to complete to convert into this actual series. We just adjust plus and minus 1 here, so I'm adjusting plus 1 and minus. Look at carefully, this is 1 minus 1 plus 1 by 2 minus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 4 and so on. This is nothing but log 2 minus. Now let's look at carefully. If I take minus sign common throughout this, so I'm going to get 1. So negative term will convert into positive and positive will become negative. Okay, so this is log 2 minus 1 minus minus plus, and this is nothing but our log 2. So log 2 and log 2 will become 2 log 2 minus 1. So this is nothing but our sum of the required series. So which answer will be correct? So answer D will be correct. In question number 24, what they are saying, so this is easy. I did same question in one of my YouTube videos. You will go and you will find. I have just changed this question little bit. Instead of unit disk, I have taken disk with radius 2 and center at origin. Okay, and we have limit z tends to 2 f of z, which is not defined. What does this mean? See what they have given. We have given a unit disk, and they are saying my function fz is holomorphic within this disk. Means what? Taylor series of this fz will be will converge inside this unit disk of radius 2, and outside it will not converge. Okay, so means what? As soon as I started moving from my origin, okay, suppose if I start moving from my origin, my series will converge, everywhere will converge as soon as I get 2, because as 2 function is not defined. Means what? This is my singular point. Okay, my function is not defined at 2 means what? Z equals to 2 is singular point. And what is the radius of convergence? Radius of convergence is nothing but distance between the singular point and the origin. Radius of convergence, in this case radius of convergence will be 2. Okay, so which option will be correct? Option B will be correct. Let's move ahead, try to solve question number 25. What they have given, this is interesting. This is Riemann sum. So f is real valued function, and this is how they define function. Fx is 0 whenever x is rational and half whenever x is irrational. Okay, so what is the upper integral? So this is nothing but 0 to 2 and half dx. Okay, because at 0 we will get a lower limit, at half we are going to get upper limit. So if I evaluate this integral, I will get 2 minus 0, which is equals to 1. So upper limit is 1, and what will be the lower limit? 0 to 2, 0 into dx. So I am going to get, so lower limit is 0, upper limit is 1. So which option will be correct? Lower limit is 0 and upper limit is 1. So C going to be correct. Okay, let's move ahead. Question number 27. What they have given? The number of elements. So this is tricky. They are asking how many numbers. The number of elements C in Z3. So what is Z3? 0 bar, 1 bar and 2 bar. And they are given one Z3 x upon x cube plus cx square plus 1. Okay, they are asking for which values of c inside this z3 my this become field. Okay, so when for which values of c this become field, what that's what they are asking. Now see, we will consider there is one nice result. What the result says, if I have one field here and polynomial over this field, and let's say there is a fx be any polynomial, this is field, this become field if and only if this fx is irreducible. So what we have to check now, for what values of c this is irreducible. Okay, if we able to find such c, then we are done. Okay, so let's try to check different values of c. So we have to just test only three values. Okay, so first, if my c is equal to 0, what will be my fx? Fx going to be x cube plus 1. So now question is this irreducible or reducible? Now see, if I substitute x equals to 2, okay, if I substitute x equal to 2, I'm going to get 2 cube means what? 8 plus 1 9. Okay, so 9 is nothing but 0 modulo 3, means what? We are getting 0 for this fx. Okay, so this cannot be irreducible. So if I take c equals to 1, so what will be my fx? Fx is going to be x cube x square plus 1. Now question is this irreducible or reducible? Now let's look at this. If I substitute x equals to 1, I will get 1 cube 1 square plus 1 means what? 3, and 3 is congruent to 0 modulo 3, means what? For this fx again we are getting 1 root, means what? For c equals to 1 also fx is not irreducible. Okay, let's try to solve for c equals to 2. So what is my fx in this case? Fx is x cube plus 2x square plus 1. Now let's look at this. If I substitute fx equals to 0, I will get 1, which is not equal to 0. Okay, if I substitute x equals to, let's say 1, I'll get 1 plus 2 plus means 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 3. So in this case also we are not getting 0. If I substitute x equals to 2, let's see what happens. If I substitute x equals to 2 cube means what? 8, 2 into 2 square again 8 plus 1 means what? 16 17, and 17 congruent to 2 modulo 3. So means what? This is become irreducible. So fx is irreducible only for c equals to 2. So only for one value my fx is getting irreducible. How many numbers are there in Z3 for which my fx become irreducible? So only one number. So answer A will be correct. Okay, video we have solved almost 10 to 11 questions. So this video is getting lengthy, so I will stop here. But before we stop, let me make important announcement. So we are going to start mock test number 2 in this week on Sunday. So timing for second mock test, I will take one poll about timing. So I will go with majority of people.